Welcome to another episode of Crime Pays with Botany Doesn't. We're in the Sacramento Mountains in New Mexico. It's 6,000 foot elevation. Got a bunch of nice Chihuahua Desert limestone stuff going on here, like this Sydnea tenuifolia. Great native plant. If you're looking to kill your lawn, you live in New Mexico. This thing grows down where I live in South Texas too. Solid as hell. Can just, take getting beaten to death with full sun. Grows like a happy as a pig and shit. Grows like a weed. A big pollinator plant too, smells good. Skeleton leaf goldeneye is the common name, no idea where that came from. We got a bunch of good stuff though. Got this nice little ephedra right there. Got a plethora of garbage. Also have Cannabaceae. Not sure what species, there's like 10, and I kind of stopped paying attention to species delineations. But nightshade family, Solanaceae, and they're very important pollinator plants. Lots of nectar at the base of those stamens, those erect stamens. Anyway, we're here. We're going to check out some cool canyon growing stuff, chasmophytes, plants that grow out of rock walls, out of cracks in rock walls. So let's go. Look, you can see the change up in the geologic strata too. You got limestone with gypsum in it on this side, and then you got more of this red tinted sandstone on that side. Let's go. Oh, this is a nice one too. Thymophila acerosa. It's in the marigold family, Tegidi, or the marigold tribe, excuse me, of the sunflower family, Asteraceae. It smells good as hell, and you got those little... This will make a nice ground cover. You can see it's like a woody subshrub. Probably go right up against the concrete nice. People always ask me, what do I plant? I don't know. I figured I'd tell them. You live in southern New Mexico, you should be planting this shit. Yeah, look, so we got Dahlia too, Dahlia formosa or frutescens. I stopped giving a shit because they both look so similar. Got a buckwheat species there, but this rock, you can see it's this conglomerate stuff. And that's where that red color is coming from. And again, that drastic change up right there in the two layers, So presumably this is a little younger. Look at this buck. What is this Eriogonum? I don't think I photographed this last time I was here. Anyway, we just got done talking at the New Mexico Mycological Society Festival. I could tell some of the older folks, the geriatrics, were a little nervous about having me there. It was the younger folk, the younger, more tolerant. They're used to the cuss words or whatever have you. I didn't even cuss that much, I don't think. Did I? I don't know. I don't even notice sometimes. 15 years of working for the railroad will do that for you. But, oh, just ate shit. Oh, look at that. That's a nice... But I could tell some of the... some of the geriatrics were skeptical, but they loosened up. I won them over in the end. Did a presentation on lawn killing. Oh, look at the flower on that dahlia. See, it's a tiny little pea flower, but the whole thing's fuzzy. You get them fuzzy calyces. And sometimes with that dahlia, you get that really cool endophytic parasite. And someone's drinking their Pedialyte, that's good. We got a sotol pole from the Dasylirion wheeleri, which you can see growing right down there. The poles, great walking sticks. It'll help you, prevent you from breaking your ass. So someone threw a TV down here. That's nice, Everybody picks their own spot to litter. Me personally, I wouldn't litter in, Yuccatorii? I wouldn't litter in nature. I would go litter in like a strip mall or something. Go dump it in a shopping center parking lot, or like a luxury golf course or something. But to each their own, This is not really my flavor, but I've certainly seen more trash than this in natural areas. Right here we got Rus trilobata, member of the sumac and poison ivy and mango family. This is another great one for a native plant garden. Ooh, it's not showy though. It doesn't... I don't want anything with spines. I don't want anything with spines and that doesn't produce pretty flowers. That mentality. That's the mentality that'll get you. It's all part of the same disconnected death cult. Imagine living in a desert area and not wanting anything with spines on it. It's like going to the beach and not wanting to see sand. Why do you live there? Move to Iowa, Look at that Castellea integra, a partial parasite tapped in to the ephedra or that mountain mahogany. It's Cercocarpus breviflorus. Breviflorus because they have shorter flowers. Man, everything, it does look, you could tell there was a drought going on here. Stuff looks rough. They just got some rain, but look at all the dieback. Look at it. And that's what it looks like higher up in the mountains too. This is nice. I'm gonna be such a nice old man if I live that long. I'm so good with a cane already. Yeah, I got Spooner with me. My friend Spooner. He's a glass blower from the res. He's wearing, look at what, show him what you're wearing. He's wearing, oh, you're wearing the Only You Can Lower Property Value shirt. He had the Ammonite sex scandal shirt that I made before too, but wonderful man, talented artist too. Anyway, we got Keoberlinia spinosa right here. Nobody's growing Keoberlinia spinosa. Why not? Look at all the flowers on it. It provides ample nectar for pollinators, and then you can see those ovaries maturing in the center, those green ones. There's one that already turned like a navy blue. Birds disperse them. Built for the heath. You know, great plant to, you know, use as a fence line. You know, if you got like a tweaker problem in a neighborhood or something, you know, maybe you're high. I don't know, maybe you're high. Maybe you don't. I live in neighborhoods sometimes where you get tweakers, you know, you got to run them off. But they could be very industrious people if they're not robbing everything you got. And then we got the Berberis, what is that, Fermantii or Hematocarpa? I forget which one grows here. A relative of the Agarita we get in Texas, but both very spiny plants because in a spot that, you know, in a region that is so hot and dry that it doesn't get much plant cover, you know, you're going to be one of the only things on the menu and there's going to be more herbivore pressure on you. But this is a great one. I got one of these in my yard. Keoberlinia spinosa ranges from northern Mexico, southern Texas, and then there's a disjunct population in the Mojave Desert of California. But you start getting to the Mojave Desert, it's a little too dry. It's a little too dry for it. But it's a great fucking plant, and those flowers actually smell nice. They got leaves when they're young, and then they lose them, and then just do the whole photosynthetic stem thing when they're older. You know, you photosynthesize through your stems. It's not going to be as efficient with leaves, but you're also gonna not lose as much moisture. Obviously, you're gonna conserve water a lot easier, and also there's no leaves for herbivores to eat. Look at these things, they can form massive colonies too. And then we got Dasylirion. There's a nice pole. You need another pole? Spoon? You might need, yeah, you might need, get the two, you know, don't be afraid. Used to make fun of people walk with those hiking sticks, but they're saving their knees. Look at that, look, beautiful blue color, and then those spines are kind of pointed downward. It certainly does look like wheeleri. I guess it could be Liophyllum or even Texana too, but no, that's not Texana. Texana is a friendlier one. Anyway, let's keep going. No one's growing sodal enough. They're really easy to grow. You collect the seeds and then you sow them, and they won't germinate unless temperatures are like 70 degrees or below. They've evolved to not germinate in high heat, which makes sense. That would not be a good evolutionary strategy. Wait till temperatures cool off and conditions are more advantageous. Look at all. So now we're getting some of the limestone. You see this gray shit mixed in with the red conglomerate? It's in sandstone. It's sandstone with some conglomerate in it, and then you get the gray limestone above it. But we're hitting that transition zone between the two layers, the two different layers. This is about 300 million year old limestone. Boy, I can really fucking talk, can't they? You know, this you know, you gotta shut me up. This is nice stuff. But yeah, you know, this is it's only 92 degrees. It's not that bad. We're at 6,000 feet. So I got to get a photo of some of these buckwheats because there's some nice stuff here. There we go. There's that mountain mahogany, rose family Rosaceae, and these are mycorrhizal, I learned. Cercocarpus. This is Cercocarpus breviflorus because the flowers are short when they come out. You get Cercocarpus montanus, and then you get a bunch, you get Letifolius out west. Great tree. They can live a long fucking time too. Great small tree, large shrub. But they got the mycorrhizal. There's amanitas associate with these sometimes. There we go. One of the most common Chihuahua Desert mustards, Nyctaginaceae camporum. Not to be confused with Physaria, because you can see the fruits maturing and they're elongated. They're not little bladder pods. But 4 petals, 6 stamens, and then you got those see, look at those sepals too, how they're kind of convex and keeled almost. Whole thing's covered in tiny trichomes. But 6 stamens and 4 petals again, and the stamens are at different levels. See how 2 are lower than the others? Very important plant, very common. You can see it's just growing out of hot rock right here. Like with the dahlia and some cool grasses, the Cercocarpus, and the Pinus edulis. The edulis Pinus, you know, in Spanish you pronounce it pinus. Pinus edulis. It's one nice pinyon pine, huh? We got this Eriogonum blooming. I don't know which one it is. There's only 300 species. But and I, you know, just got to this region, so I'm not familiar with it yet. But Maybe I've seen it before. You can see the leaves, tomentos, and then the flowers are all grouped together in that little involucre. This thing, it looks like a vase that holds the flowers. And of course, the flowers of Eriogonum have 9 stamens, which is pretty peculiar for a eudicot. Multiples of 3. You normally see multiples of 3 on monocots, but the buckwheats, the further west you go, you start seeing a lot more Eriogonum diversity. Polygonaceae, the buckwheat family. Fucking dope genus. And they could be large shrubs, they could be tiny little annual herbs. A lot of diversity, and they speciate like hell. I mean, that's why there's so many species. They do really well in dry areas. Okay, geologically, this is getting a lot more interesting. We're seeing some gypsum, eroding gypsum right there. Feels like gypsum too, like a poorly batched or poorly mixed batch of concrete. Look at that stuff. And this, of course, white sands is just down yonder at the end of this valley. So millions of years of that gypsum eroding out of this 300 million year old limestone, you get White Sands National Monument, which is all gypsum dunes. And there we have a little snail or an ammonite fossil. That's pretty nice. Spooner just saw it. I didn't even see that. Yeah, look at this. That's all gypsum eroding out of this limestone. Oh, look, you got a swallowtail, and he's hanging out around the Putilea trifoliata. Or is it trifoliolata? I forget which one. But, their caterpillars, he's probably looking to oviposit. Their caterpillars use members of the citrus family, Rutaceae, which this is in. You crust up those leaves. They call it hopbush. No relation to hops, though. It just smells nice, and that's because of those furanocoumarin, it's secondary chemistry, those furanocoumarins that those caterpillars bioaccumulate when they nibble on the foliage. Citrus family and the carrot family, Apiaceae, both have furanocoumarins. That's another great fucking tree, for a native plant garden. Who's growing Putilea? You just got a P, it's P-T-E-L-E-A. Who's growing Putilea trifoliolata? And then what is this? This is a roost, I guess. It's a weird looking fucking roost. It looks almost like, I saw this the other day. I thought this was a Fraxinus. Oh, this is cool. This is an ash. This is a Fraxinus. This is a Fraxinus, and it'll throw you off. It looks almost like Rus microphylla, but you start looking further up the tree, and you could see the actual ash leaves. So it's got 2 different kinds of leaves. That is wild. I've never seen an ash tree do that. Fraxinus, what is this? Volutinus? What's the New Mexico ash? That's wild, though. Look at how small. But normally it should be different. The bigger leaves should be in the shade, and the smaller leaves should be up top. That is wild. How peculiar. Yeah, see, this hopbush, this Tilea, is only getting, probably because it's a little too dry for it, but it's only getting 5 feet tall. But they can be 12 foot. You plant that in a cultivated space where you can water it. I bet they can get, even in New Mexico, they get 12, 14 feet tall. They can get a lot taller. They don't get much taller than that. Yeah, that's crazy. So this Fraxinus, you got these short leaves. I guess it's just because maybe this is new growth. They're smaller. That's wild, though. I didn't know they could have variable leaf sizes. I saw it the other day and was trying to figure out what it was. And there were no species with short leaves around here. But I guess this one can have it. And then you can see up top they got big leaves. It's wild. Ooh, it's Phlox nana growing in the shade. A tiny phlox. But, the flower, of course, looks like most of the native phlox we have here in North America. A tiny hole for pollination by a butterfly with a long proboscis. Where's the native plant nursery near Alamogordo? Huh? Talk about get some of those tweakers into native plants. Yeah, look at that. That's just a young ash tree. That's wild. It's just, I'm probably dealing with the drought of the last few years, producing stress hormones causing it to produce shorter, smaller, more attenuated leaves. Oh, we got Condalia Wernickeii, buckthorn family, Rhamnaceae. Look at those branches that taper into spines. Very tiny flowers on this when you see it flowering. This is a nice one too, Tetranurus scoposa. That looks great up against the sidewalk, like a little parkway or something. And they reseed and volunteer readily. And look, it looks, if you're part of the sick lawn cult, you really gotta, you like something that looks like grass. Look at the leaves on that. But it's woody. It's a woody subshrub. It's a suffrutescent shrub that spreads, and it prevents the sun from heating up that goddamn ground. And it's got these nice little daisy flowers. Look at it, you got a fuzzy involucre on it. See all the hairs on it, on a phyllories, huh? This is nice. Look at this nice little rock garden. Right, you could do the same thing with like an ugly cement retaining wall. This is nice. Everything just coming out the rock. Just growing out of cracks in the rock. But you know, deep in that rock, it's, you know, drastically cooler, probably 20 degrees cooler. 8 inches in. Oh, look at the Tetranuris up there. That looks nice too. This is a cool one, Nyctaginaceae. Very unique fruit shape on this. This is Cyphomeris gypsophyloides. And those are the fruits. You can see the flowers are done. Are the flowers, or maybe the flowers are just about to go off. But pink flowers when it's going off, and opposite leaves like so much in Nyctaginaceae. That kind of has state. It's a cool one and dies back to a root. But likes the gypsum. It's in the name. Oh, there's a mountain mahogany, a cercocarpus with the old flowers on. You can see what I call it breviflorus. Look how shortened they are. Those leaves are beautiful though. And then right here we got Silostrophe. Looks like silostrophe when it's spelled out. Tagatina Asteraceae. It's another little nice perennial. It dies back to the root in the winter in cold climates. Look at the phyllories too. See the involucre? They get those little bracts. They're narrow and attenuated. And then we got a tube. We got a tube in the ground. And more of that Thymophila acerosa. And then this is kind of cool. Look at this guy. Look at this hanging out. Echinocerius coccineus doesn't give a shit. They'll get it in wherever they can. Look at that guy. Look, just growing out of the seam of that pipe. Right beneath the little bolt. I don't know how he... It's got to be 110 degrees, but he's hanging in there. Oh, you know what? Duh. This pipe is transporting water, so it's not hot. That makes sense. It just is. It stays very cool. So now I understand how he's able to do that. This is a very cool pipe, despite being black and despite it being 92 degrees Fahrenheit outside. That's how he's able to grow there. Well, you found yourself a nice little place to grow. You got your own cooling system. Probably bird just shit a seed out right there, was hanging out there. And enough duff has accumulated, you know, gravels and organic material in that little crack between this seam that's holding the tube together that he could do fine. You know, cacti roots suck up moisture like a dry sponge on a granite countertop. I mean, they suck up moisture so fast. And they suck up moisture and then just, you know, store it and sit tight, wait for another rain. They're amazing. You know, I mean, really, they're built. They're so good at what they do, which is growing in fucking incredibly hot and extremely dry places. That right there is an evening primrose species. Looks like a lovely one, too. I wonder what the flowers look like when they bloom. Certainly a night bloomer, like so many Onothera species in the Chihuahua Desert. Bloom at night, pollinated by moths. Yeah, even the fucking grass species are beautiful. Look at it. You got Aristida right there. One of the most gorgeous native grass genera. All right, let's keep going. You know, the more time you spend in actually alive, real, wild places, the more you start to see what humans consider horticulture to be grotesque and gaudy. Oh, look at that. There's Agave perii. It's a nice one. It's a little stressed, but it's probably a plant that, yeah, look at all the dieback up there from the drought. There was probably a plant that flowered and fruited up there, you know, 10 years ago, and seeds came down and that guy got established. But yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I see more agaves. Most horticultural I see is fucking hideous. It just, you know, it looks like a lady with too much makeup on. You know, or too much plastic surgery. It looks unnatural and fucking weird and deranged. I'm not calling a lady with too much makeup on deranged. You know, you do with your body what you want, but there's that dahlia. But you know, you just tell that so many landscapers don't actually spend time in nature, nor are they trying to recreate it. They're creating a make-believe paradise that doesn't exist. Planting palm trees in the desert in suburban neighborhoods, then of course it's all asphalt and heat island and everything's just cooking in the sun, you know, 20 degrees hotter than the surrounding areas that still have vegetation on them. Yeah, you know, this is pretty cool, but like, dude, have you ever played Grand Theft Auto 6? Like, that's a fucking sick game, dude. I don't, you know, no offense, this is an unpopular opinion. I'm probably going to piss some people off, and I apologize beforehand, you know. But when did it become normalized for grown men to play video games? You know, if you're like a quadriplegic or something, you can't go outside, I get it. But, you know, it just seems like such fucking wasted time. I don't know. You know, you want mental exercise, physical exercise, actively think about the world around you, ask questions, learn something new. You know, if you're 10 years old, I can understand playing video games, but just my take. It's fine. No judgment. I'm just curious. Ah, look at this nice little colony of Keoberlinia. Oh, I can smell it too. It smells great. These tiny flowers smell incredible. Who's growing Keoberlinia spinosa? It's not that hard. Just get those navy blue berries when they're mature. You could see them maturing in that flower right now. It's related to mustard. It's a monotypic family. Only species in the family. God, it smells good. Related to mustard. You can see it's forming a nice little colony here, but they can get a lot taller as well. You know, you can prune them as they grow. Just cut branches off if you want them to get taller instead of wider, or vice versa. Oh, this is a nice one. Solanum eleagnifolium, a native weed, a relative of tomatoes. Look at those flowers, those big yellow porocidal anthers that require buzz pollination to dump the pollen out. And these things are ruderal. They grow on the side of the road. They just come up everywhere. They can be aggressive. They got tubers in the ground, so, you know, pulling them, if you pull them, they just re-sprout. But, you know, they're important, and they're, you know, you got them in your yard. They'll taper off as you plant other shit that outcompetes them and steals the light. Oh, look, it's berberis in flower. That's a nice one. Medicinal compounds in the roots of this whole genus, berberin. Look at that. There's that ash again, that Fraxinus. Tiny leaves down below, and then big leaves up top, which again is counterintuitive. Normally, if it's not shade or light that's doing it, normally the big leaves would be in the shade and the tiny leaves would be up top. So it must be something else. I wonder if it's what causes this. Maybe just the aridity, maybe the drought, maybe once they get established they can, I don't know. It's peculiar though. Go get some water. You don't gotta wait for us. Then we got our native hackberry, another pioneer species, Celtis reticulata. And those fruits are edible. These are probably already dried to shit, but you know, that's part of the reason they're such a good pioneer species. The birds disperse them. They disperse those, they're droops technically, but yeah. Cannabaceae, the pot family, the weed family. Small leaves, pubescent, and of course that kind of reticulated branching pattern. Look at that. That's a nice one. It's a definite stunner. They don't get too big here. They don't need to. Oh, that one's kind of big. We can see a lot of dieback. And then we got Houstonia acerosa, Rubiaceae, the coffee family, 4 petals. And if you were to look in there at the little stigma coming off, the style and stigma, it would be bifid. It would be forked. You get like little trichomes on the petals too. You know, not to be underappreciated. It's an important plant. What a nice thing. It's a nice little spot to hang out here. You got the breeze. There's no humidity like there is where I live. In the shade of a cottonwood and a Fraxinus. And then we got, of course, our invasive bullshit tamarisk, which should definitely saw down. Maybe spot apply herbicide to the cut with a dauber. But that's a fucking horrible invasive, man. That's a bad one. See, Louie's getting in there. She's definitely, I'm going to stick my head in there too. It'd be cool to see like a 10,000 year time-lapse video of this little arroyo, you know? All the different floods that have come through here and carving out the canyon wall and that kind of shit. Look, it's just mud and conglomerate. Very pleasant. Oh, I see a silostrophe. A silostrophe over there. Is that what that is? Or is it a mustard? Yeah, it looks like silostrophe. You know, these things, these are helpful. Bring these little filters with, just fill up a bag and you can drink. You don't got to worry about getting giardia from drinking shit water. I'll drink some shit particles. I don't care if they get filtered out and they're not, toxic. I don't give a fuck. You're probably eating a bunch of spit, There's some sick fucks in the restaurant industry, I'll tell you that. You've probably eaten a loogie before. Oh, look at the nice dragonfly. It's a beautiful, oh, he's so good. Look at that beautiful blue color. Look at this. We got a silk tassel. Oh, and it's going to fruit already. Bird dispersed fruits. Garrya. The genus Garrya. This is Garrya reticulata. The silk tassels is the common name. Mostly from California. California silk tassel. How do you know it's a Garrya? What's a good indication if you don't have any flowers? Opposite leaves, and look at that, the interpetiolar stipules. See it like right at the node? It looks like a plug-in socket. Like the next shoot, particle of shoot just plugs into the like tent poles. But opposite leaves. You don't have any plant. You don't have flowers. All you got is leaves. First thing you look at is, are they opposite or alternate? You got to figure out what the shit it is. But that turns navy blue when it's ripe. Garryas are cool. Yeah, they need a little bit more moisture. There's some growing up there in the hills, where it's a little bit more dry. But again, we've been in a drought down here for the last 4 years. So, and then we got Berberis. This is Berberis hematocarpa. You get Berberis fremontii further west, I believe. And it's got a fruit on it. It's another nice border plant along with the Keoberlinia. You want to, instead of putting up razor wire, just plant Berberis and Keoberlinia. Yeah, is it a native cat? Probably native typhus, I don't know. You can see a flood came through here at some point. Recent rain. This is a nice little, this is where I would post up for a while. I got sent to this outward bound program for fucked up kids when I was like 12. We would post up in places like this. And we had one of this hippie staff member who made us do a sweat one time. That was nice. We did a sweat. First time I did a sweat, I was 12, Yeah, this is Fraxinus cuspidata, which I've only seen in Nuevo Leon, Mexico before. And from a distance, because they were flowering in the little ravine they were growing in. It's a riparian tree. But God, when they flower, man, they are showy as hell. Just, you could see them from 100 yards away. Big displays of pleasant-smelling white flowers. Probably moth-pollinated too, I would assume. I mean, maybe bees get in there, but generally white, narrow flowers like that, you think moths. So let's go check out this little rocky outcrop and see what we can find there that won't be growing in areas with more soil. Oh, this looks like a Brassicales, stevia tribe of Asteraceae. Alternate leaves, not opposite. If it was opposite, I'd say it looked like a Salvia, but they're alternate leaves. It's not flowering yet, but then we got Rus microphylla, little leaf sumac, which is another cool pioneer plant that can just take getting the piss beaten out of it by the sun. And then, let's see what we got up there. What's going on up here on these rocks? Already I'm seeing good stuff. Oh, we got Galium. We got this little red-flowered Galium species. Yeah, look at that. It's weird. So coffee family Rubiaceae, some of these are pretty weedy, but you don't often see them with red flowers. This is Galium reticulata. Again, 4 petals, just like that Houstonia acerosa. Got a little Myriopteris growing out of directly out of a crack in the rock. We got Sedum reticulata, which is in the stonecrop family. Crassulaceae, it's succulent, so that's, of course, you're going to find that here. Still needs a little bit of shade, though. Can't take getting blasted. Look at that nice boulder of limestone, too. And then coming up here, being sure not to break our ass and fall off this 20-foot embankment, we got a lot more really cool shit going on. Oh, yeah, I could see those little Physareas. Are they blooming still? That's Physaria purpurea. Look at those chalky mint green leaves. And then, of course, those bladder pod fruits. Looks like a little swollen bowl. Ah, there we go. Look, it's still blooming, too. Little tiny white 4-petaled flowers. It is a mustard. So 4 petals and 6 stamens. Scale like trichomes on the stem. There's the fruits maturing after those flowers have already been pollinated and fallen off. There's another. This is, man, Physarias are always, this is a very attractive genus. Most of them tend to be yellow. Physaria gordonii grows here too, but doesn't get this big and doesn't have these long peduncles. And just a little rosette. You go north into like Wyoming and shit, you see some really nice Physarias with some cool rosettes. Echinocereus coccineus living its best life. And then this is an even cooler plant. This is Salvia pinguifolia. which this just fucking blows my mind that this is not more common in cultivation in the region. This only grows in New Mexico, northern Mexico, and southern Arizona. Rock sage, it's called. Why? Because it's growing directly out of rock. In this case, limestone. Smells incredible. It's the mint family, Lamiaceae, of course. You can see those calyces after the flowers fall off. Those calyces look like little bells, and they got the seeds in there. I'm going to collect an herbarium voucher of this and also see if I can get some seeds. Why is nobody growing this? Why does nobody grow this? Are there any? How many native plant nurseries are there in New Mexico? And why is nobody growing this? Look at it. There's one up there growing out of a fucking cliff. Look at that. That's amazing. Imagine how drought tolerant that would be. It's essentially growing out of concrete. And then those flowers, they're just stunners too. Just going for bee pollination. Maybe hummers hit this too. Probably bees though. See the little trichomes on the flower. Oh, it smells good. I could smell it from here. Opposite leaves, of course, because it is a mint. Yeah, Salvia pinguifolia. Supposedly there's a population in West Texas too, but it's probably owned by some rich freak who won't let you on his land to go look at it, so good luck finding that. But it'll do fine in West Texas as well. Yeah, this whole little, looks like a natural walkway is just the result of the difference in the bedding plane. You can see the dip is like that. So, these are presumably younger than the layer beneath it. And so where that disjunction is, or where that junction is between the younger and older layer, is where it's a weaker point, and so it's less resistant to weathering, and so that's where you get these nice little walkways carved out. These little native rock gardens carved out. It's much easier walking on rock than up talus. Let's see what else we got going up here. Look at all the cool shit growing in every crack. Ah, look at that. It's a perfect specimen. Look at that little bonsai rock sage. Look at that grass in the opuntia too. It's a burly opuntia. It's a burly prickly pear. God damn, this is a beautiful species. I had never seen it until a few days ago. And again, it's just another plant. You're like, why the fuck is no one growing? Why is this not more common in cultivation? Oh, it's so nice. And this dimpling, created by the acidic rain, interacting with the calcareous dissolvable limestone, creates a very nice, I feel very safe walking on this. Oh, who was eating what here? Some little critter was cracking something open. What is it? What seeds and fruits is that from? Little flaky like seeds. We got a bee fly hitting some of those. Where'd he go? Yeah, there you go. There he is. Is it a bee fly or a hoverfly? What are those things? Oh yeah, look at him going to town. What's he getting out of there? You getting some nectar, guy, huh? It's another great specimen, half dead, probably from the drought, but how does a plant grow out of, how does it grow out of a fucking crack in the rock? Just sticks its roots in there, and I guess that rock is, again, it's such a large mass of material to heat up in the sun, it takes a while, so temperatures are somewhat moderated, 8 to 10 inches in, and anytime it rains, the water just runs right into the crack, so, the same principle as that cactus, just get moisture, store it up, and don't let it out. Wait for the next rain. Got a nice breeze here. The nights are cool because there's no humidity, so you could do this. But this is like a milder version of what Salvia funerea does, the funeral sage in the Mojave Desert. Yeah, what an incredible species. Coming out of 3 years of drought, and it still looks sturdy as hell. Look, there's a 3 foot tall one. I bet they'll get 6 feet tall in a yard. Growing with Rus trilobata. What is that? Sarcocarpus up there? Opuntia. I want a whole picture of everything. I want a picture of the whole plant community. I want a picture of the whole ecosystem, everything that's growing together. It gives you an idea. You become familiar enough with the plants, someone tells you something's growing somewhere, you already know what that habitat is going to be like, what elevation it's going to be like, what conditions it will be present. Oh, here's a nice one too, Pelea intermedia. This thing's probably very hard to grow from spore. It's a native desert fern. The coffee fern, the genus Pelea. Look at that. Look at that. Orange rachis. Beautiful chalky mint green. leaflets, and then of course you got that curved revolute margin. Are any of these producing spores yet? They produce spores on the margins of the leaves. I can't really see anything now. It doesn't look like it. No sporophylls yet. Yeah, that's a beautiful species though. And this is peculiar too. So look at this. We got gypsum. Right at the edge of this bedding plane, we got a big gypsum exposure. And of course, that's what weathers out, washes down, eventually makes its way to White Sands National Monument down below. That is pure gypsum. Not tough, just good old calcium sulfate. Yeah, look at the way that weathers, like a sandcastle. Like a kid's sandcastle. You got some cool lichens on there too. No shit. You see a bunch of this by Albuquerque all the way down into Nuevo Leon. Some sort of fossil right there in the limestone. More gypsum. It's curious that it's like right up against the bedding plane, like towards the top. Towards the top of the formation, that strata layer at least. And right there we got a beautiful exposure with the Cyphomeris coccineus coming up amidst the gravel, growing with that Myriopteris. That same Myriopteris, well maybe it's a different one. With another fuzzy chilanthoid, related to that Pelea that I just showed you. A fuzzy blue desert fern. Do you like it? I like them. Where's the sporophyll on these? Ah, there's an old one. Looks like an old sporophyll. You can see some discolorations on the margins right there. This is a cool group to grow from spore. Basically just microwave, an 80% perlite mix. Oh, look at that one. Put some water in it, microwave it, put it in a Tupperware, microwave it, let it cool in a fridge so the spore, and then just keep it closed for 6 months to get the gametophytes germinating that look like moss. And then, oh, look at this little baby, Gynoceres. And then, the sperm will meet the egg on the gametophyte. They'll bang, and you get a sporophyte, and you get the true fern. You get it looking like a true fern emerging. Look at that salvia too right there. And then what do we got over here? Oh, this is a nice one. So this just looks like a little DYC, a little damn yellow composite. But this is the New Mexico rock daisy. And why am I interested in it? Because it's part of a group known as the Peridales. This actually got split up. That genus got split up by a friend of mine actually who was doing his PhD on it. And I was traveling around the Southwest from Sonora to California, New Mexico, etc. when he was doing his doctorate on it. He was getting his PhD studying this. He DNA sequenced a bunch of different species because there's hadn't been an adaptive radiation. So they've radiated. This genus is radiated and is mega diverse and has species on all the different species on all the sky islands throughout the American and Mexican West. So it's southwestern United States, northwestern Mexico. Anyway, this is Peridale staurophylla. Now it's Laphamia staurophylla. After the DNA sequencing revealed the genus Peridale to be paraphyletic. So, but they're all great, and they all grow out of cracks and rocks. They're all chasmophytes, right? There's some at the Grand Canyon. There's a bunch in Sonora, always growing out of rock walls. The rock daisies, they call them. Some have little rays, what look like petals right there, and some don't. The tiny little seeds, they're everywhere here. There's one, there's another one right there. There's a few growing up there out of that cliff face. It's kind of sketchy. You can see I'm like 40 feet above the ground right here. This is a good hunk of limestone though. It's not going to collapse. So you got one right there too, growing with dahlia. Another thing that's cool about the genus Peridale is if you look at those florets, the tiny flowers, they've only got 4. The tiny flowers that are grouped together in what looks like a single flower, they've only got 4 corolla lobes instead of 5. So that is you can see the little rods sticking out of each individual flower. Uniseriate phyllaries covered in a slight pubescence and glandular pubescence. So there's some glandular exudate, como se dice nice. Kind of looks like the top of it looks like a spade-shaped leaf. The Peridale staurophylla, the New Mexico rock daisy. Somewhat rare and certainly demanding in its habitat preferences. You'll never see it growing out of soil, only out of cracks in limestone rock. Look at it. So see, I collected some for the herbarium. I don't want to take the whole plant, obviously, and it should be fine. It's got a massive root. This is probably a decade-old, a 10-year-old plant, if not more. But you could see it's got this massive woody caudex that roots into a crack in that concrete. And here's a little one getting going too. Who knows how old that is? A lot of these Peridales species, after the flower heads are pollinated, they recurve back towards the rock wall as a means of self-sowing their own seed. But yeah, that limestone's hot as balls, man. I don't know how they're doing it. I'm going to take these back, press them, and put them in the herbarium. I used to never collect, but I've just seen so many populations of stuff get destroyed. I mean, that's because I live in Texas. New Mexico, this stuff is safe. And this guy is Oleaceae retii. White brush, a more xeric and higher elevation white brush than we get in West Texas. It smells incredible, important pollinator plant. Verbanaceae, the verbena family in the order Lamiaceae. Important pioneer species too. It does great and would do great in a native plant garden. You know, you catch why I'm putting all this stuff out there? So if you live here, you can grow this shit. If you don't have any native plant nurseries you can get it from, and just come out here and get the seed yourself. Plenty of this seed should be ready in another month or two. Ooh, we got Mirabilis multiflora too. That's a stunner. That thing would do great. Nyctaginaceae. You can see those betalain pigments. Those purples look like the same pigments you see in beets because it's order Caryophyllales. Those flowers aren't open. I think they mostly open at night. Going for moth pollination. Or maybe it's just too hot. Maybe they open like later in the afternoon. Or maybe they're early morning. I think they're early morning maybe. Night and early morning. You know, get the moths, then get a couple of the early morning diurnal pollinators too. Oh, we found a little, I don't know what this is. Coprinus, or it looks like a coprinus maybe. I have no idea. Just growing in the floodplain here, this little arroyo. Louis posted up over there. It's a nice, very nice camping spot. Nice break from the heat before we hike back up 800 feet in the fucking 95-degree sun. The spooner's going to collect it and then send it into to get sequenced. Where do you send it into? Again, fungal diversity survey. Where do you send it? Fundus?
Yeah, Fundus.
Yeah. Where's that? Ohio? Where you mail it to? Ohio?
I'm going to have to check on that one.
Yeah.
Because I got
He's going to send it to Ohio. Sorry, buddy. Oh yeah, look, that Celtis, that hackberry, Celtis reticulata, it's a very beautiful tree. You know, when it gets enough water down here in the arroyo. This is that Brassicales growing beneath it. It's not going to be flowering yet. That looks nice, whatever it is. Asteraceae, whatever it is. Oh, look, it's Mirandiella, snapdragon vine. We saw one blooming a few days ago up there, but it's not blooming anymore. It's in the hot sun. Yeah, the flower's kind of fucked up. Probably some leafcutter bee. Little arrow-shaped leaves, long petiole. That's a great native vine. Oh, those berberis fruits aren't too bad. They're tangy. There's probably a lot of vitamin C in there. Oh, we got a grindelia down here. It's the riparian areas. That's not surprising. Look at how long those phyllaries are. Looking like little spikes coming out the involucre. Flower's not open yet. Looks like it's got rays when it does, but you can see how sticky that thing is. Supposedly this is a good antidote. Oh, that's just hairs on it. Looks like something cottonwood or populus seeds got on it. But you can see how glandular and sticky it is. Supposedly makes a good remedy for an ass rash. That sticky glandular exudate. See the leaves. Lance-shaped with a dentate margin. Serrate margin. Oh, this is nice. Just relaxing in the arroyo. Just waiting for that moisture to continue building. So it's maybe we'll get some cloud cover and it won't be as hot as balls when we're walking back up that steep cliff. See, there's that rocky outcropping. I bet there's some really nice Peridales and Salvias go further up the canyon. I mean, this is just the first that we encounter. This is the first, large enough rocky outcropping. But look at that moisture, that rising water vapor. It's a pleasant sight. It was cloudless when we started today. Anyway, that's all I got for today. Hopefully you got something out of that. I'm going to relax underneath this ash and this cottonwood for the time being. What a lovely day. What a nice little arroyo. New Mexico's so nice. Best thing about Texas is that it's close to New Mexico. Have a good rest of your day. Go fuck yourself. Bye. Oh, beautiful tarantula hawk. The Spooner just found a cool little bivalve. Perfect bivalve fossil. Not bad for being 300 million years old. Yeah, see, look at this. That is a lot of gypsum. A lot of weathering gypsum. Oh, look, it's Eclysanthes. What is this, Lanceolata? Another Nyctag. Opposite leaves, betalain pigments, and winged fruits. Right there, you can see them. Looks like the flowers have not opened yet. Or did they? I don't know. Little suffrutescent shrub, thick woody. It's got a thick woody stem. Looks like they're bonsai, growing out of pure gypsum. Look at that sedum too. God, there's so much cool shit when you look closer, huh? You dummy! Don't forget to look closer. Oh, there's a sodal in fruit. You can see it's a female. Sodals, Dasylirion is dioecious. The plant's either male or female. And all those little flaky things, that's about 10,000 seeds, if not more, on that inflorescence. When they mature, it'll just disperse everywhere, all over the valley. You can take a especially windy day, and when they dry out enough, when the tissue dries out enough, finally blow them off that tall, piping hot rod that they're still stuck to. Yeah, that's a female. I love that. Man, I'd love to grow that species. The seeds aren't ready yet, though. There's a nice one, too. Nolina. It's probably Texana or Lindheimeri. Looks like bear grass, but it's actually related to Dasylirion. Big gypsum area. Look at this nice exposure. Woo, it's fucking hot. Hiking uphill, 92 degrees. But we got a nice breeze at least, because the air is dry. You know, that humidity, you get used to humidity, big dead juniper. What the fuck? Everything's moving up. The forest, the landscape is changing. And the forest up above, at 8,500 feet, looks half dead from prolonged drought. So, you know, but I bet the drought of 1200 AD was probably a lot worse. I'd imagine that was rough. Right? That's what forced a lot of people to relocate in North America back in the day. Look at that. You make a little nest out of the juniper bark, and you know, you get like a bow and spindle. That's how you can make a nice fire. Like a little bone or a rock to hold the top of the spindle. You know what I mean? Get a drill board too. It's beautiful bark. Got some nice ocotillo, and we got a Menodora, olive family, Oleaceae. Same family as ash trees and olives. There's those yellow flowers. They're not open yet. Probably pollinated by moths, so they'll open tonight. How do you know it's a Menodora? Because those sepals, those linear sepals. Menodora are mostly herbs, but in the Mojave, there's a shrubby one. Look at ocotillo. It looks so nice. Sodal everywhere. Oh, look at that. New burst of new growth. Love comes in spurts. Burst of new growth in this ocotillo. You can see those petioles turn into spines. And then after this leaf falls off, the next drought deciduous season, the leaves will come out of that leaf bud right there. And it'll just be axillary leaves. Like you see here, where those leaves have no petiole. They just come, they're sessile. They just come right out of the stem. And also probably help to protect the stem from getting as fried as it may otherwise get. What a great fucking plant.